Hello and welcome back, I'm Statman Dave, and today we're going to be explaining why Marcus Rashford is underrated. Make sure to subscribe if you are new, turn the notification bell on and like that goddamn video. Anyway, let's get this party started. After bursting onto the scene in 2016 with a brace against Midtjylland and another brace and an assist 3 days later against Arsenal, Marcus Rashford has gone on to score 50 goals for Manchester United, joining a list of 53 players that reached a milestone for the club. In fact, Rashford's 183 games to get him to 50 goals for the club was faster than Cristiano Ronaldo's 188 goals to get him to 50. But some people still don't rate Rashford in a similar way to how people doubted Sterling, and I'm going to explain today why Marcus Rashford is one of the most underrated footballers in the Premier League. First up, we have to talk about goals. There's a myth surrounding the 20 goal a season striker, and if players don't consistently hit 20 goals or more, they're simply not good enough. That, in fact, is a load of rubbish. It comes from Messi and Ronaldo, two of the greatest players to have ever graced the game. Before Messi and Ronaldo owned the attacking football records, if a player scored 20 goals in a season, they'd have a very, very good year. And if they'd scored 30, it was almost an outlier. Unlikely to happen again in their careers. Michael Owen, widely argued to be one of the most natural poachers to play in the Premier League, never scored 20 goals in a single Premier League campaign, scoring 16 the season that he went on to win the Ballon d'Or in 2001. It's also crazy to expect a player to net 20 goals or more in a single season before the age of 22, whilst never playing over 3,000 minutes in a single campaign. In fact, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Mohamed Salah, Sergio Aguero and Harry Kane were all older than Rashford when they notched their 20th league goal in a single campaign. Even Manchester United's all-time top scorer Wayne Rooney, with a supply line bolstering the likes of Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes, didn't hit 20 until he was 24. Just because the two greatest footballers of all time make it look easy to score 40 goals a season doesn't mean that should be a measuring stick for everyone else. For his age, Marcus Rashford actually has an impressive goal-scoring rate. Before turning 22, Rashford has more English top-flight goals than Raheem Sterling, Harry Kane and all-time Premier League top scorer Alan Shearer. And comparing Rashford to some of the top Premier League strikers in the season they turned 22 makes for interesting reading. Rashford's 5 goals and 3 assists in 10 appearances so far in the Premier League sees his direct involvement rate per game at 0.8. Sterling at 22 scored 7 and assisted 6 in 33 games, directly involved in 0.4 goals per game, whilst Mohamed Salah at 22 scored 6 and assisted 1 in 28 appearances across the Swiss Super League and the Premier League, a rate of 0.25 direct goal involvements per game. Aubameyang scored 16 and registered 7 assists in 36 for Saint-Etienne, 0.6 per game. The only comparable player is Harry Kane, who scored 25 and assisted 1 in 38, a direct goal involvement rate of 0.8 per game. Granted, Rashford has played only a third of the season, but even if he failed to add a single goal or assist, he'd still have more direct goal involvements in the season he turned 22 than two-time Golden Boot winner Mohamed Salah. What's more is, unlike Kane and Aubameyang, the two best performing players mentioned at 21, Rashford isn't quite an out-and-out centre-forward. In fact, England manager Gareth Southgate described Rashford as a wide raider, something comparable to a goal-scoring winger that does most of his damage on the counter-attack. Speaking in his press conference before England beat Kosovo 5-3, Southgate said, "For a long time, we've almost wanted Marcus to be an option as a number 9, but I'm still not certain that's where he's happiest and where he does his best work. A lot of his best work is from the left, coming in off the line." And this damage on the break is backed up by the stats. 12 of Marcus Rashford's first 50 goals for Manchester United have come on the counter-attack, equating for 24% of his Manchester United goals. In comparison, Salah has scored 21% of his Liverpool goals on the break since moving to Anfield. The Egyptian winger is seen as one of the best counter-attacking forwards in world football. Yet Rashford has a similar split in terms of percentage of goals scored on the break and has an identical chance conversion on the counter-attack to Salah, with both players scoring 15% of their chances on the break. But this also throws out the idea that Rashford can only score goals on the counter, with 76% coming from non-counter-attacking situations. Rashford's in a good place in his career in terms of not having a concrete position in the team. His versatility is not only good for his team, but also for his own development. He's got the ability to play on the left, on the right, at number 10 as a creator or second striker, as a lone forward, or even in a two-man strike force. Playing in a variety of positions had already started to round off his game, but it's shown in his attacking output. In his breakout season in 2015-16 campaign, Rashford averaged 0.5 key passes per game, whilst last season he averaged 1.2 and this season it's 1.3. It's a similar story for his shots. In the 15-16 campaign, he took 1.5 shots per game and 1.4 shots per game the season after. Last season he took 2.5 per game, and this season it's of course 2.9. Interestingly, Rashford's current attacking output in terms of shots and chances created per game is very, very close to Liverpool's Roberto Firmino, a striker heralded for his creativity. Over the past 2 seasons, Firmino has averaged 1.3 key passes per game and 2.4 shots per game. Over the same period, Rashford has averaged 1.2 key passes per game and 2.6 shots per game. On top of consistently creating good shooting opportunities, Marcus Rashford has the ability to create something out of nothing. The list of sensational goals he's been directly involved in is truly impressive. From his backheel finish against West Ham to his assist for Pogba against Bournemouth. Where Young put him into the channel, he did Nathan Ake, flip-flat Rico, and then set up Paul Pogba. He's got a real range from tricks and flicks, like against West Ham and Bournemouth, to defend splitting passes. Lukaku's debut goal against West Ham was laid on a plate for him by Rashford. United were on the counter-attack with Rashford. He carried from inside his own half to the edge of the box, shifts the defenders and threads the ball through for the goal. A really good goal that shows not only his counter-attacking threat, but his composure and passing ability. On top of these impressive attacking outputs, Rashford works exceedingly hard off the ball and has an excellent work rate. Last season he covered more ground in the Premier League than any of Manchester United's other forwards. He also consistently tops the sprinting charts, averaging an extra 5 sprints per 90 than any of United players last season. Often he can lead United's press on his own, chasing down goalkeepers, forcing mistakes. Against Reading, he pressed the centre-back and the goalkeeper, forcing the mistake and scoring a goal. But when Rashford really comes alive his games against the top 6, his record is really impressive, especially when you consider that since Rashford has been in the United senior setup, Manchester United have never finished within 18 points of the Premier League winners. In fact, if we were to compare Rashford to Manchester United legend Wayne Rooney, who had a real knack of performing in the big games, at 22 it showcased Rashford and Rooney's ability versus the top 6 sides. At 22 in the Premier League, Rooney had scored 5 versus Arsenal, 2 versus City and Spurs and 1 versus Liverpool, 10 in total in the Premier League. Rashford, he's scored 11, 3 against Chelsea and Liverpool, 2 against City and Arsenal and 1 versus Spurs. His good goal scoring record against the top 6 also dispels somewhat of a myth that Rashford isn't a clinical forward, as he don't score 11 goals against the top 6 sides without being at least a reasonable striker. But what really puts this to bed is his expected goals. Throughout his Premier League career, professional scouting platform Instat have Rashford's XG at 29.57, so you'd expect him to have scored 29 goals. But how many has he got? 32. Basically, Marcus Rashford is outperforming where he should be in terms of goal scoring, but is poised to kick on even further under Solskjaer. He's one of the first names on the team sheet, and for the first time in his career, he's also got the full backing of the manager, meaning he can relax on the pitch knowing that his manager won't hook him for making mistakes, and that is the perfect atmosphere for, of course, his development. And his first 10 Premier League games of 2019-20 in the Premier League suggest that he is developing. With 8 goal involvements in the league in the first 10 games, Rashford has more direct goal contributions than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Antoine Griezmann, Karim Benzema, Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane, Timo Wener, Memphis Depay, Roberto Firmino, Sadio Mane, Cristiano Ronaldo and Luis Suarez. Marcus Rashford is a wonderful footballer with both the talent and attitude to make it to the very top table of football's elite players. If he maintains his rate of development, or even if he stays at his current level, he's still at a level that most players can only dream of reaching. Before turning 22, Rashford has a better goal scoring rate than many of the current top forwards in the Premier League, and he's as effective on the counter-attack as the best counter-attacking players. He's got similar creative numbers to Roberto Firmino in terms of both chances created and assists. He works exceedingly hard off the ball, and statistically has the best work rate at Manchester United, yet he's got that moment of magic inside of him. And on top of all of that, he's got a goal scoring rate against the Premier League's top 6 sides that's on par with Wayne Rooney at 22, one of the true GOATs of the Premier League. And because of all of this, Marcus Rashford is truly an underrated player. But anyway guys, what do you think? Do you agree? Is Marcus Rashford underrated? Let me know in the comments below. I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new, like that goddamn video, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel?